Okay, a very good morning to you all. In our last class, we have seen uh, different concepts like pointers to objects, then pointers to objects in inheritance. These two concepts we have seen in our previous classes. So, in today's class, we are going to discuss the third concept, that is constructor call in inheritance. So basically, how the constructors will be invoked when you are creating the hierarchy of classes using inheritance. So hierarchy of classes is nothing but inheriting one class from another class. So if you do so, how these constructors will be invoked. So that is our today's concept. So quickly, first of all, I will explain the concept and then we will see the example program for this one. So with that, we will conclude the session, hopefully. So quickly, we'll get into the topic and we'll see what concepts we have over there. So this is a constructor call in inheritance. So generally, let us assume that we have a hierarchy of classes, something like this. So base to derive. Okay. Okay, so here you have very simple example in your notes, but I'm trying to take a more complicated one so that you will get the clear understanding. So first we'll go with the simple one only, and then when we try to implement with the help of coding, we'll discuss a complicated one. So complicated one, when I'm saying, simply I will try to increase the class count in our hierarchy. Okay, so let us assume that we have a simple class, that is class A. This class name is class A, and I'm inheriting one class from this class, and I'm calling this class as class B. So in this case, what will happen? This will become my base class, isn't it? This is my base class, and this will become my derived class. Derived class. So generally what will happen, and whenever we are going to create an object for this derived class, that object will not only gain the properties from derived class, but also it will gain the properties from base class, isn't it? This phenomenon we know. all the public members all the public members, whatever we have inside the base class, they will get derived into the derived class. In our previous examples, I have shown clearly, even with the help of examples, how that thing is happening. Okay, so for our understanding, we already know that all the public members from base class will get derived to our derived class. So practically, if you see, or logically if you think how this thing is happening, because whenever we are creating the object for B class, so that object will get initialized by the constructor only. That we know. All the objects in our programming will get initialized by the constructors. So when you are creating the object for this derived class, it will get initialized by its constructor, by its B class constructor. If you are specifically mentioning some parameterized constructor, then that parameterized constructor is responsible for initiating the object. And if you are not mentioning any constructor under your class, then who will initiate your object? The default constructor. The default constructor, the programmer, if he is not mentioning any constructor, your compiler will automatically add the default constructor to your class. This also we already discussed. So in order to initiate this object, the B class constructor will be invoked. Anything, I mean any one constructor, whether it is parameterized or default, any one of the constructor according to your specification will be invoked and initialize this object. Clear? But okay, because of that reason it is getting the properties of B class. Because of that reason it is getting the properties of B class. But how it is gaining the properties of A class, that we have to understand. How it is gaining the properties of A class, where we are not at all invoking the A class constructor. So there comes the concept of constructors in inheritance. So generally, constructors in inheritance, how the invocation will happen means, so let us assume according to the compiler's point of view. Okay, we'll think this as per the compiler's point of view. So I will code these two classes. I mean, I will write the syntaxes, not the complete code, but the syntaxes of these two classes. So how we are going to write the base class? So base class, simply by using the keyword class, we have to write. So class A I'm taking, then take the curly bracket, and whatever definition I want to give, I have to give in between these two curly brackets. So right now, I'm not giving anything. I'm not giving anything. Then what I am doing, I am creating a derived class, class B, which I am going to derive from class A publicly. So my inheritance operator and the public keyword, I have to use public and then give the space and write the A class. So now what will happen? The B class is inheriting the A class. So open the curly bracket and give some space and close curly bracket. So right now, neither I am using anything in my B class, derived class, nor I am using anything in my A class. So right now, as per my graphics over here, as per my representation over here, what I have to do, I have to create the object of B class. That how can I do? That object creation inside the main function I have to do. That coding I'm writing this side. So inside the main function, I have to do that object creation. So int followed by main of void I'm writing, then inside it I'm creating the object of B class. So BOBJ, object of B class. So now this derived class object B object is going to have all the properties from all the public properties from B class as well as all the public properties from A class, isn't it? So how it is gaining the public properties of B class, how it is getting initialized means, see, as I don't have any constructors neither in B class nor in A class, what my object creation will do, means it automatically invokes the default constructor of my B class, isn't it? Derived class. B class, derived class. So what is my constructor over here? How it will be? The default constructor, simply it will have like this. B like this, isn't it? Like that, and then open bracket, closed bracket. Like this it will go, your default constructor. But how it is gaining the properties in inheritance, how it is gaining the properties of A class as well means, because in A class also your compiler will add the default constructor, isn't it? In A class also your compiler will add the default constructor. Now who is calling this default constructor of A? Because we are not creating any object for A class, isn't it? Are we creating any object of A class over here? No, we are not creating. We are just creating the object of B class. But creation of B class object is also gaining the properties from A class. How means, inside your constructor call of the derived class, the first statement is going to be the call to the base class constructor. Call to the base class constructor. The first statement. Okay, call to the base class constructor. Not only to this base class, I am saying in every class hierarchy, whenever you are creating the object of derived class, that object creation will invoke the default constructor. If you have not specified any specific parameterized constructor, then what will happen? It will invoke the default constructor. Okay, and that default constructor in turn is going to have the call to the base class default constructor as the first statement. Call to the default, base class constructor as the first statement. That is the reason why your B object is gaining not only the properties from B class but also the properties from A class. This is only the concept. This understanding is very, very important. When you are creating the B class object, B class object creation is calling the B class constructor, and inside derived class, B class is my derived class, isn't it? So inside my derived class constructor, I have the call to my base class constructor as the first statement. Before you write anything inside this, by default your compiler will add this call to that base class constructor as the first statement. So programming, in terms of coding, if we see this one, it is very simple to understand. So I'm opening, I forgot to open my, I think, Turbo C or Dave C++. So let me just quickly open that one. Dave CPP. So now I'm opening my Dave CPP compiler. So in that I'll be showing how this constructor call is going to, how the derived class object creation is going to call not only the derived class constructor but also the base class constructor. That I will show by simply taking very simple example. Okay, later on we'll discuss how this thing is going to affect our parameterized constructor. So quickly I'm taking hash include IO stream. Okay, then put the main function into main of void. So then, yeah, my classes will go here. Before the main function, I'm creating my class A. In it, I'm writing so default constructor, if I put, you will not get anything because default constructor will not do anything. So what I do is I will put one constructor without any parameters and with cout statement, cout of A's constructor. A's constructor. So A class constructor, or you can write like this also. A, what is A? A is a class, isn't it? A class constructor. A class constructor invoked. Okay. Then I'm writing another class. So instead of writing the definition of the constructor outside, what I'm doing, I'm writing the definition of the constructor inside itself because I have only one statement. Like this also you can do. Or you can just declare the constructor and you can write the definition outside. That is also possible. But I'm going with the first approach, that is not only declaration, defining the constructor inside the class because I don't have any other data members, nothing. There is no confusion. So that is the reason why I'm defining my constructor inside the class itself. So next class B I'm taking. In it, I'm taking the without any B class constructor without any parameters, and then C out of B class constructor invoked. So like this I'm taking two what we call statements, two simple messages in both of my classes, in A class as well as in my B class. So now what I will do, I will create the object to my B class. So how it will go, you just see. So creation of object B, BOBJ, B class object, BOBJ in the sense B's object. Okay, so that's it. I'm just creating the object. I'm not doing anything else. So creation of object will invoke this B class constructor because I'm creating the object of B class. So what it will do? It will invoke the B class constructor. So inside this B class constructor, the first statement, what I said, what the compiler will add? The compiler will add the base class constructor call as the first statement inside B class because B is my derived class. So now I am deriving my B class. So how we can derive means like this. Publicly I am deriving my B class from A class. So inside my derived class, B derived class constructor, okay, I am going to have call to the base class constructor. Call to the base class constructor. So quickly you go and check how it will happen. So now I'm saving my program. So that is inheritance constructor call dot cpp. Inheritance constructor call dot cpp. Program is saved. So now execute, compile. Okay, there is one error. C out was not declared in the scope. Okay, so I forgot to put using namespace. So I have not declared using namespace std. So that is the reason why it is giving that error. So now we will see compile. Again there is another error. Okay, so we have to write the constructor definitions in public area. Already I told you we have to write the constructor definitions in public area. Why I am generating these errors means so that you will understand something. Whenever we are getting errors, then only you will understand. Okay, so now compile, quickly see, do we have any more errors? Hopefully no errors now. So just two errors I have done. The first thing, I forgot to put this namespace into my program. Because of that reason I got this cout error. Okay, then I forgot to put all my constructors in public area. Okay, so I told you constructors, they must go under the public area. If you don't put this public access specifier over here, by default the access specifier is private. So my constructor will become private. So I cannot access those constructors outside of my class. So that reason only I got the second error. So now I have overcome those two errors. So quickly I am entering into the execution mode to see the output. Okay, run. It's taking time. See here how we got the messages. How we got the messages, that is very important. First we got the message from base class constructor. A class constructor, A is my base class, so I got message from base class. Then I got the message from derived class. Why it is happening? Even though we are calling the base class derived class constructor first and then the base class constructor, but why we are getting the message first from base class and second from derived class? This thing you have to understand. Okay, this thing you have to understand. So it is very simple. So what I will do, I will take the screenshot. It will not come as a screenshot. So I will copy this entire text and I will take over here onto my projector. Okay, so add the text. So Control V. So here you can see it is not coming. So first I will take only a class. I will take step by step. First I am taking only a class. A class, control C, that I will keep here. So this is my a class. Okay, so then we have b class. Oh, so it will not come like that, so I will delete this one. Okay, so first what I have done, inside my a class I have taken my constructor, A's constructor. Over there I wrote the message cout, that A class constructor message I wrote. This entire thing I am doing inside my class A, isn't it? Where I am doing? Inside my class A. In the public area I am doing. So then in my class B, cout A's constructor, A class constructor. Like that I have written. Okay, this message I have written. So then inside my B class, what I have done, class B, I have inherited publicly from A. Publicly from A. Then I wrote my B class constructor over here with some message cout, okay, B's constructor, B class. So some message I have written like this and I have closed. Then this is closing, this is closing. Then what I have done, I have written my int. Inside int, see, this step by step understanding is important. That's why I am repeating the step many times. Okay, so here what I am doing, I am simply creating the BOBJ. BOBJ. So not like this, simply put this much, that's enough. So BOBJ. So only I'm writing this one. So this creation of this B class object, what it is doing, it is invoking my B class constructor, isn't it? My B class constructor. So doing this is invoking my B class constructor here. B class constructor. And I told you inside B derived class, the first statement is going to be A class constructor call. So how we are going to call the A class constructor? Like this. A followed by parenthesis, A followed by parenthesis, that's it. A followed by parenthesis at the end of semicolon. So like this we are calling the A class constructor. So generally your compiler will treat the complete code like this. First it will treat the B class object creation. So it will call B class constructor. The compiler will jump from here to here. Then inside it will consider this A class constructor call as the first statement. So the control will jump from here to A class constructor. Now the control is here and it will start executing. It will print this message on the output screen. This message you will get as the first statement on the output screen. Then what will happen? You have the closing. Closing means ultimately the constructor call will return to the calling part. Constructor definition, that is nothing but constructor call, will return to the calling part. So where is the calling part? Here you have the calling part. Then immediately after the calling part you have this second statement. You will get this second message and then the control will exit and again it will come back to the object creation and it will exit from the program. So that is the reason why you are getting this message first and then this message second. So first B class constructor call, then A class constructor call. Even though the derived class constructor will be invoked first, but the completion of constructor execution, the base class constructor will complete its execution first. Which constructor will complete its execution first? Base class constructor will complete its execution first, then the derived class constructor. So who completes the execution first? See, there are two things: invocation and completion. Okay, which constructor, will be invoked first? Which constructor will be invoked first? First the derived. derived class constructor will be invoked first, and then the base class constructor. Base class constructor will be invoked. But whereas completion, who will complete the execution first? The base class constructor will complete the execution first, then the derived class constructor. Then the derived class constructor. These two things you have to understand clearly without any doubts. Okay, invocation, the derived class constructor invocation will be done first in case when you are creating the derived class object. In case when you are creating the derived class object, the derived class constructor will be invoked first and then the base class constructor will be invoked. But the completion, who will complete the execution first? The base class constructor will complete its execution first, then the derived class constructor will complete its execution. So that is the reason why the messages we are getting from the base class constructor first on the output screen, and then we are getting the message from the derived class constructor. Hope you got the concept, hope you understood the concept, and I have shown this concept with the help of an example as well. So quickly we'll go to the second level of our understanding. So let us assume that I have one class, that is class A, and from this class I am deriving my class B. What I am doing? I am deriving my class B. So that B I am writing over here. Then from this class B, I am deriving another class, that is class C. Class C. So like this we have the hierarchy. So here in A class, what I am doing? I am writing my A class constructor. A class constructor with that same message. A of, okay, cout A's constructor. A's constructor. Then close this. Then inside B class I am writing what? B. This inside B class you have to write. I am outside, I am writing, but inside B class you have to write this one. Okay. B's constructor. B's constructor. Then take the third one, that is C. Here you write cout C's constructor. What is this? C's constructor. So I have to write all these definitions inside the classes. This I have to write inside A class. This I have to write inside B class. This I have to write inside C class. So like that. Let us assume that I have done in that way. So next is creating the object of bottom derived class. This derived class object I will create. Okay. So how can I? Int main. Inside it, what I am doing? I am just creating the object of my C class. C followed by COBJ. COBJ. Doing so, creating COBJ will do what? Will invoke this constructor first. From here to here, this constructor first. But inside it, when the constructor definition start executing, inside this what it will have? It will have the immediate base class constructor call. Its immediate base class is B class. So here it will have B class constructor call. So the counter, from here the counter will jump to this. Where is my B class constructor call? Here I have the B class. The counter will jump from here to here. And then after jumping, again it will start the execution. Again, immediately inside my B class constructor, again this B class is also having one base class, that is A class. So A class constructor invocation will be done. A class constructor invocation will be done. Again, this also jumps from here to here, here to here. So then after jumping, the counter will start executing. The counter will start executing. So on output screen, what you will get inside, yeah, now the counter is here. Now the counter is here. So it will print this message, A's constructor. You will get this message, A's constructor. A's constructor. Then yeah, it will complete the execution. Here it will complete. So once it completes, again it will go back to the constructor call. Go back to the constructor call. Again, after this constructor call, it is having this message. So B's constructor, you will get that message. B's constructor. Then again, after completing, it will come here. After printing that message, it will come here. Again, this is the closing. So it will go back to the constructor call. It will go back to the constructor call. Again, after that constructor call, it is having this message. C's constructor. It will print that message. C's constructor. Then again, after this, it is having the closing. So once it sees the closing, it will go to the object creation part. It will go to the object creation part, that is here, object creation. After object creation part, we have the closing main. So the program will terminate. So the program will terminate. So in this way, in your in your class hierarchy, the constructor invocation will be done. First, the derived class constructor will be invoked, then the base class constructor will be invoked, and but in this invocation, the base class constructor will complete its execution first, then the derived class constructor will complete its execution. This you have to understand. So quickly we'll go to the parameterized constructor concept. What happens if you have parameterized constructor? How the invocation will be done and how the initialization will be done. That we have to understand. So quickly, I'm taking again 2 classes only. So we'll consider now with data members, we'll consider our third level of understanding. This is our third level of understanding. With data members, we'll consider our example. So let us assume I have a class. Directly I'm taking the coding part. I'm not taking any graphical representation now, or else it's better to go with graphics also. So let us assume I have a class. I'm taking only public members. I'm not taking any private members. Okay. So here I have a data member A. Okay. And this is my class A. Okay. This is my class A. I have a data member A. So in order to initialize this data member A, I'm making use of one constructor with parameter int. I will consider this as integer type. Okay. So in order to initialize this, I'm making use of this constructor. A constructor. Next, I'm taking another class, B class. So inside this B class, I'm declaring one parameter that is public only. This is public. Okay. A parameter that is public, and B class parameter B, this is also public in nature. Now, when I'm writing the constructor for this B class, okay, because this B class will gain not only this B but also this A. Isn't it? But also this A. So what I have to do? I have to pass 2 parameters here. One for A and one for B. 2 parameters here. Next, I am taking another class, my third class, that is C class. C class with only one parameter, one data member, not parameter, one data member, that is C. Data member C. So this is my C class, capital C, C class. So A class having only one data member A and one constructor with only one parameter to initialize this A. Then B class, it is having B data member, but it is having 2 parameters because it will inherit. So there is an inheritance relationship between A to B. Inheritance relationship. So it will gain, B will gain A as well as B because A is public. So it will automatically inherit. So this B class, in order to initialize A and B, it needs 2 parameters. So again, there is an inheritance relationship between A and B and C. So the C class constructor will take 3 parameters. One for C, one for B, and one for A. Because this C class, it is going to have not only B but also A's parameters. So the C class automatically it will have A, B, C, 3 parameters. So that's why I'm taking 3 parameters over here. So now I will write the coding. So here A coding, it is very simple. Simply put class A's coding, it is very simple. Put class A, under it take the parameter public. Inside public area only we have to declare. I told you I am taking only public parameters. Int A and write the constructor A of, if you want to write the definition outside, then write outside. If you want to write the definition inside, write inside. I'm writing inside only. Int temporary 1, T1. So no need of semicolon. Then open this bracket and initialize this A with T1. So A will get initialized. Close this class. Then inside B, what we have to do inside B, yes, start writing the class definition for B. Okay, class B, it should inherit A publicly. It should inherit A publicly, public of A. Then inside it, declare the data members public colon. Yeah, here you have to declare the data member B, int B. So next, write the constructor definition for B class, but with two parameters, int T1, comma, int T2. T2. So here, yeah, initialize B with T2. Okay, B with T2. I want to initialize this T1 to A. How can I do? I have to call, because I said inside my B's derived class constructor, the first statement should be call to the base class constructor. Call the base class constructor with parameters. Call the base class constructor, that is A of, pass that T2. Pass that T1, sorry, T1 must be initialized to that, like this. Close this, close this. So when you are executing, when you are creating the object of B class, what will happen? It will receive two parameters. One parameter, it will initialize to B, that already you have seen, T2 to B. And other parameter, using other parameter, it will call the base class constructor. It will call the base class constructor. So this T1 will get copied into this T1, and then finally the T1 will be initialized to this A. So like that, the initialization takes place. Now the third class I'm writing, that is class C. Class C, okay, inheritance operator, and I want to derive this class C from B class. So this class C, now it will have three parameters, A, B, C. So I am declaring public data member here, int C. Okay, so next is call the C class constructor by passing three parameters, int T1, comma, int T2, one more comma, int T3. So like this we can call. Now initialize C with T3. Initialize C with T3. Close this, close the call. Close the class. So now, yes, inside this C you have T1, T2. Pass those two, T1, T2 as parameters to your B class. B of T1, comma, T2. So now when you create the object of this C class, what will happen? The control will come over here. The control will come over here with T1, T2, T3. The control will come over here with T1, T2, T3. Okay, with T1, T2, T3. Next, what will happen? Yeah, it will call with T1, T2, T3. It is coming. It will call B class constructor with T1 and T2. So T1, T2 gets copied over here. T1, T2 gets copied over here. So T1, T2 will come here. So inside this, again, there is one more base class constructor call, that is A. So A with T1. So this T1 get copied over here. So first A will be initialized to T1. A will be initialized to T1. Then what will happen? Yeah, the control returns. And B will be initialized to T2. B will be initialized to T2. Again, the control will return over here. Then C will be initialized to T3. Like this, it will happen. First, C class constructor invoked, then B class constructor invoked, then A class constructor invoked. But who will complete its execution first means, first A class constructor completes, then B class constructor completes, then C class constructor completes. Like this, it will happen. Your main function, it is very simple. How we have to write the main function for this means, simply we have to create the object for this C class. So that I am writing over here, int main of void int main of void init create the object of C class cobj. That's it. cobj. Close it. That's it. Only this statement you have to write. Okay, so quickly we see how we execute that constructor call in inheritance. So I will take the same classes, three classes, how I explained the concept, class A, class B, and class C, and with class A with one public parameter, that is A, class B also with one public parameter, that is uh, class A with public parameter A, class B with public parameter B, and class C with public parameter C. So quickly I will start writing that program. So hash include IOStream, then you take using namespace std. Okay, then you take int main of void like this. So here just you write your first class, that is class A. In it you put one public parameter, public int A. Okay, take the constructor to initialize my parameter. Okay, so here I am going to receive one temporary parameter, that is t1, and A is equals to t1. Like this we do, isn't it? Like this we do. Then close this class, my class A. Then we are going to derive one class B from that class A. Okay, so here my base class will be class A and derived class will be class B. So class B, okay, take the inheritance operator, then public keyword, and we are deriving it from A class. So here I will get that A, as well as it is going to have another public parameter, that is int B. So in this, call the constructor with two parameters, int uh, t1 comma int t2. Okay, so t2 we will initialize to B. T1, what we do, we call that base class constructor here. So this we will put in comment because we have to do some editing over here. So I am calling the public class, base class constructor by passing this T1, isn't it? By passing this T1. So this is my second class. Then we are writing another third class, and this class I am going to derive from B class publicly. So in this class, again I am taking one public parameter, that is int C. Okay, and I am calling my constructor with three parameters, int t1 comma int t2 comma int t3, because one parameter C we are going to initialize with t3, and t1 t2 we are going to send to the base class constructor, that is immediate base class constructor. So in this we are going to initialize C with t3, and here we are going to call the immediate base class. What is my immediate base class? So here our class hierarchy is something like this, isn't it? First we have okay, first we have class A. Like this we have class A, then we have our class B. This I already have shown to you. Here we have class A, and then we have class B, and from this we are deriving class C. So this is my class B, sorry, here it is class B, and then we have class C. So like this we have the hierarchy. Okay, like this we have the hierarchy. So in this, what I have, int A I have. Then I have taken the constructor A with only one parameter, isn't it? With only one parameter I have taken the constructor. So in B, what I have? In B, I am declaring one parameter B, int B, and it is going to receive this A as well. It is going to receive this, it is going to inherit this A as well. So in order to initialize this A as well as this B for this B class, what I am doing? I am taking the B class constructor with two parameters. Int comma int. Like this I am taking with two parameters. Then C class, it is also having one public parameter, that is C, and it is also going to receive, the C class is also going to receive A as well as B into it. It is also going to inherit A as well as B into it. So here when I'm calling the C class constructor, what I will do, I will take three parameters. I will pass three parameters, int, and int. Three parameters. So like this we take semicolon at the end. So like this we take. So over here in this one, what we are doing, whatever parameter we are receiving, that is T1 we are receiving. So A is equals to T1, like that we are writing. Here we are receiving two parameters, isn't it? Here we are receiving two parameters. Let us say T1 and T2. So T2 we are initializing to B. T2 we are initializing to B. And T1 what we are doing, we are passing it to the immediate base class constructor. Immediate base class, we are calling it as immediate base class. So see, when we are talking about this C is having two base classes, A as well as B. These two are base classes to C because it is receiving parameters from A as well as parameters from B. So for C class I have two base classes, but when we are calling the constructor, we can only call the immediate base class constructor. We can only call the immediate base class constructor. So what is the immediate base class to C class is B class. So we can call B class constructor inside A class. So that's what we have done over here. So A class we are calling here by passing that T1, isn't it? By passing that T1. So here I'm passing T1. And when we are calling the C class constructor, in it we are receiving three, T1, T2, T3. T3 we are initializing with C. T3 we are initializing with C, and T1, T2 we are calling the immediate base class constructor B, and we are passing T1 and T2 over here. T1 and T2 over here. And when we create the object of this C class, what we do? We create the object of C class, objc. Objc. So what it will do? The creation of the bottom most derived class object, it will invoke, when it invokes the constructor of that one, inside it, it is also having the immediate base class constructor. So that gets invoked, and finally when this gets invoked, the control will jump from here to here. And inside this B class constructor, again we have one more constructor, immediate constructor, that is A class. So the control, first the control will start from here, then it will encounter this. So it will jump from here to here. Okay, jump from here to here, then it will encounter this. So here it will jump from here to here, and it will complete the execution of this A constructor. Then it will come back over here and completes the execution of B class constructor. Then again it will jump, it will come back from here to here, and then finally it will complete the execution of the C class constructor. So in this way, the invocation, first the C class constructor gets invoked. Second, the B class constructor gets invoked. Second, what happens? The B class constructor gets invoked. And finally, the A class constructor get invoked. And completion, how they will complete the execution means, first the A class constructor completes its execution. Second, the B class constructor completes its execution. And finally, the C class constructor completes its execution. In that way, the constructor invocation as well as constructor completion will be done in case if you have the constructor calls in your inheritance. So this is our concept. So I have shown that with the help of coding. So inside C class, what we are doing, we are calling the B class constructor by passing T1 comma T2. So like this. So again, that remaining T3, what we are doing, that remaining T3 we are initializing to our C, that I have done over here. So now, see, keeping the constructor calls like this particular compiler, Dev CPP compiler, is not supporting. Okay, keeping the compiler, I mean constructor calls inside the derived constructor. If you put the immediate base class constructor, it is not invoking. So basically what we have to do, we have to follow like this. We have to put the inheritance operator followed by the same constructor call. Like this we have to put. Only this one we have to put. Instead of adding the constructor call, base class constructor call over here, we have to put that thing over here. So these two are exactly same. These two are exactly same. This will also, what it will do, it will call the base class constructor. It will call the base class constructor by passing the parameter whatever you specify. By passing the parameter whatever you specify. So in this way, this constructor will call this base class constructor by passing this t1 as parameter. By passing this t1 as parameter. So here how we can put, we are writing the definition of C class constructor over here, and inside that C class constructor I try to call this B class like this. So what I have to do, instead of writing this B class call like this, a B class constructor call like that, I have to put the B class constructor over here, t1 comma t2. That's it. Don't put the semicolon at the end. So like this, here in this definition, when the control will start, it will consider this as the definition for C class constructor. Right? Immediate statement, what it will do, it will invoke this B class constructor, immediate base class constructor. So here we are receiving T1, T2, T3. Then what will happen? T1, T2 will be sent to that B class constructor. So here we are calling that B class constructor. So the control will jump from this position to here, this position. So this T1 will become this T1 and this T2 will become this T2. So now we are having T1 as well as T2. So in this T1, by passing this T1 as an argument, again we are calling the base class constructor, immediate base class constructor. So what will happen? This invocation will invoke this constructor. So this T1 will become this T1. So whatever you pass here, that same thing will be copied inside this T1, and that T1 we are initializing to A. So that T1 we are initializing to A. So let us assume here I am creating the bottommost derived class constructor, bottommost derived class object, that is objc, object of C, by passing 10 comma 20 comma 30. Like this I am passing. Let us assume like this we are passing. So this is my T1, this is my T2, and this is my T3. So here T1 10, T2 20, T3 30. So 10 20 I am passing over here. 10 20 I am passing over here. So that will be copied to this T1 and T2, 10 and 20. Again what I am doing, 10 I am passing over here. So that 10 will invoke here. So A will become 10. That 10 will come over here and A will become 10. Next B will be T2. B is equals to T2 we are saying. So B will become 20. Next C will become T3. T3 is nothing but 30, because 10 T1, 20 T2, 30 T3. Like that we are passing. Like that we are passing. So accordingly the temporary variable gets initialized, and accordingly you will receive the values inside your parameter. So quickly we go to the execution part and we'll see how many errors we have. Yes, it is showing only one error because we have not closed this class completely. Okay, not closed this class. That is the reason why we got that error. So again you compile. Yes, no errors. So basically after initializing those things, we have to print A, B, C. Okay, C class data members. Data members, C class data members. So they are, what are they? C class data members, A comma B comma C. So like this. So first we have to print the A value, then take the space, after that print the B value, again take one more space, and finally you print the C value. In this way we can print, because after making the changes, I want to see whether they will get affected accordingly or not. So A will be printed over here, B will be printed over here, C will be printed over here. So what I have to receive? 10, 20, 30. Like that I have to receive. Saving the program, Go compile. The compilation, it is saying, yeah, here directly I cannot access these data members, isn't it? Outside the class, I have to make use of object obj dot obj c dot. My object name is obj, isn't it? Obj c. So that object name, by following the dot operator, I can access all my data members. So like this, even though they are public, but you have to qualify the data member with object name. So that I have done now. Save the program, compile. Okay, compilation successful. Execute. Yeah, you can see the output. Whatever we are expecting, we got accordingly. So A value we got 10, B value we got 20, and C value we got 30. This thing from C class, from C object we are printing, because whenever we are printing A, B, C, we qualified the identifiers with object names, isn't it? With object names we qualified the identifiers. And what object name we have used means C class object name only we have used, because that is the bottommost derived class. And being the bottommost derived class, it is going to inherit all the properties from A as well as from B. So in that sense, we received the parameters, and in that sense, we are printing the parameters. So in our next class, we'll move further and we will see the concepts, the remaining concepts in the first unit, hopefully. So thank you very much, students.